What's going on, you guys? Kenny here, also known as SolidFan85. Welcome to another vlog. I'm going to talk about a weird mix of things this vlog, but I wanted to kind of touch on it. We're coming upon the end of my adventure here on YouTube, bittersweet as it is. But the last few weeks, I've touched on a few videos that I've talked to you guys, and I've opened up a bit more about me personally, politically, stuff I find, and stuff I believe that we need. And what I wanted to talk about, I was kind of inspired to create this video from two sources. Number one, Twitter, and number two, from Clumsy Gamer. Her and I we've talked about it, and people find it weird. People may find it weird to know that I find solace, I find peace, and I feel centered 90% of the time, not all the time, but 90% of the time in gaming and in politics. Those two don't usually go together very well. But for me, it does. Gaming is understandable because in gaming, you can escape into a world. You can, especially single player, you don't have to worry about player-on-player drama, especially when you're by yourself and you're not streaming like I tend to do. But politics, how does a person find comfort in politics? Politics is a very taboo thing to talk about nowadays, especially given our current environment. A lot of people don't talk about it. A lot of people get anxiety or get severely depressed or angry or what have you, when it comes to talking about politics. But me personally, again, 90% of the time, I find political discussion, ideas, theories, to be a source of interest and, again, for lack of a better word, comfort. And in a lot of ways, it's because it gives me hope. It really opens my mind. It stimulates me mentally to talk about this stuff, to talk about the deeper stuff of life that not a whole lot of people like to talk about. And I don't, again, a whole lot of time find anxiety in that. I don't get depressed with it. I don't get very angry because I guess it's probably because I have the capability of looking at things in such a way that it's just like, okay, well, that's this person's opinion. There are facts that may state otherwise, but this is just what they believe. It's what they think, and political practices, political opinions, and it's just fascinating to me. It always has been. And the thing about it is that when it comes to government, when it comes to politics, when it comes to running for office, it is the most... I'm not sure how to put this. It's the most... I could see it being the most rewarding thing somebody could ever do, would be to run for office, to be a public servant, to work for people, to fight for people. And there are different ways you can do that in life, but politics does it. It allows you to do it another way, on end of one spectrum. On one end, you have people that are very honest, very in touch with their constituents, very in touch with their population, and will fight tooth and nail, disregarding their own selves, to fight for what they believe in, that they believe is good for their community. And on the other end of it, you've got very corrupt politicians that are bought, and they advance up because of dark money, because of super PACs, because of companies and corporate ideals, and there's really not a whole lot of people involved in their values. But again, I still find it fascinating because you have these big groups, you have these people with tons of money up against a political potential leader that is backed by people, that has been, let's say, for example, has been in politics for so long This person is so unique in such a way that they've never taken money. They've never put themselves on the line. In the back end of the politics, in the Congress, in the Senate, whatever. They've even forsaken putting their name on a bill that they had the idea for because they knew that if their name was on it, it wouldn't be voted on or it would die. But it was still their idea, so they pitched it to somebody else. A politician that has a chance of getting it through because their name doesn't carry a stigma, right? Now, a person like this, a politician like this, it happens. It does happen. There are decent politicians. But unfortunately, there's such a stigma when it comes to discussing people like this because they're a part of politics. They're a politician, generally regarded as lazy, sleazy people. And unfortunately, that is a very hard truth in a lot of countries worldwide, not just in the U.S., which I'm an American. But again, on the other end of it, you've also got these very sleazy people, very just slime balls. They don't care. They don't care about the people they represent. They only care about their own self-interest. Both ends of the spectrum. But somewhere in the middle is where you get a bit of a rare breed of people, of a leader that wants to negotiate some of their own morals, but keep some that they know would benefit the community that they lead. I find that fascinating. On the people side of it, I love to hear views that are properly presented. Again, it's just the truth about politics that people get fired up on it. People will yell, people will berate, people will make their voice so loud that even if they're wrong, they know they've won, quote unquote, that they've won an argument because they can yell the loudest without any actual proof or backup or facts. It's sad, but it's true. But I still find it fascinating because government is something that humanity has come up with on its own. It's not a natural occurrence on our planet. The government was made, in my opinion, history might prove this wrong, but government was manufactured, an idea by man, to help us further our cause, to help us further ourselves, and to act as an in-between when it comes to legal action, when it comes to, violence against humanity, when it's done right, it is one of the greatest freaking things that could benefit a people when it's done right. And again, the fascinating part is that it comes down to the people in the lead. And it comes down to the voters. It comes down to the citizens to be educated, to do their own research and not just listen to, for example, a problem we have today with mainstream media. A lot of these manufactured ideas or a lot of these mini sound bites that want you to believe as a whole that their leader that they're presenting is such a great person. And yet, what they won't show you behind the curtain is the atrocities that this person may have done or the ill fallacies that these people may have or how much of an idiot they are, that too. But when you get down to it, these are still people that they believe can lead their people. And that's tends to be a bit of the downfall when it comes to government, is that it is man-made. We're not perfect. We still hold to values on both ends, left and right, especially here in the U.S., that are so outdated, so obsolete, that have done really no good for us at all. Maybe they did in their time, but nowadays are such a outdated idea that it's held on to for so long because we're so used to it. Because if we were to do something different, if we were to try something different, that would probably benefit us more. It's too scary. It's too scary. It's too much of a gamble. No, we can't do that. that's always a bit of a thing that comes into play, is that people aren't usually willing to leave their comfort zones. But as has been proven in society throughout history, there are changes that come about. Even if they take forever, they do eventually come about. There's a lot that is done that people said wouldn't be done. Countries are founded that people thought would never happen. Countries flourish that are so fragile when they first start coming into being that with a whisper they could be decimated. And that's what fascinates me the most, is the human drive, is the human participation, is the views, is the ideas, it's the foolishness that some people are willing to go through and willing to put up with. That is really inspiring for me when it comes to leaders, politicians, government. A lot of people think that government is a bad thing, and it can be, but it just depends on who wields it, and if it really listens to the will of the people. And that is what fascinates me. Humanity as a whole has always fascinated me, because we're such a species that we still have yet to really know who we are, what we're capable of. We're still quibbling amongst ourselves, but I have hope that if we can build governments worldwide, some good, some bad, and bring order to humanity, to bring thoughtful conversation to humanity, to put laws into effect to punish the wicked, to put it a certain way, to people that break crimes, murder, rape, whatever. If we're capable of doing that, to bring order to a chaotic species as we are, imagine what we can do when the quibbling dies down for just a second and we're able to do great things and make great things happen. But it's also on us to keep those great things going and not keep continually falling for the same stuff that brings an end to the good stuff. That's always been one of humanity's weak points, both as a single individual human being and human beings as a whole. We tend to have a pretty hard time learning from our past, but we've done all right so far. So anyway, that's just how it is. As it pertains to gaming and how I find hope and passion in gaming, you guys know that story. Gaming was an inspiration to me for reading. RPGs, Japanese RPGs, really helped my reading level growing up. It helped me become what I consider myself to be, a well-read individual. Characters in games, there were interactive novels. And I loved it because I love books as well. I mainly listen to a lot of audiobooks nowadays because I work and I stream. And when you become an adult, there's not a whole lot of time for the stuff you'd really like to do. But thankfully, I have more time than some because I don't have kids. My marriage has been settled. It's just me. And I can live how I want and do what I want without having somebody else to have to rely on me or me to have to rely on them. There are gives and takes, but overall, I'm liking it. I'm very proud of myself. And while I may consider myself a freak for finding solace in politics when the majority of the population can't, that still just makes me more unique. So, anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment. Remember, you're awesome. Never let the world tell you otherwise. Oh, also, forgive how I look. It was a long work day. And there was a lot that happened. But I'm proud of you if you're watching this video. Keep going. See ya.